Hey Inklings, it's Caleb again, and today I am going to show you guys how to make your ads with Amazon's dashboard. So I'm going to have a link to just the direct dashboard thing. I'm just going to plop that in. It's going to be advertising.amazon.com. I'm going to put that either in a comment or in the description or both. So from that, you can make your own account. Something really cool is you can actually make accounts for several different stores. So as you can see, I have one for the United States and for Canada. You can also make them for the UK, Australia, and I believe elsewhere too, but those are the only ones I've ever done it for. The only place I've gotten good success with has been the US store, and I'm getting some traffic with the UK store, but that's something for another video. So you can navigate to the Amazon thing from the link I'm going to have, but you can also navigate to it from the KDP dashboard, which is what you're going to be going through if you publish through KDP, which is what I personally recommend because I like having complete control and I like self-publishing. And as much as I'd like to see my books in a library, I feel like that's more of a down the road thing that I will address when that road comes, so that's what KDP's for me. So anywho's, sign on in. So it'll take a second to sign in, and for this tutorial that I'm going to do, I'm going to be making ads for the God Storybook because I haven't made many ads for that, and it's something that you guys are all going to be a little more familiar with since it's something I made for the group. So anywho's, go down to your books, you'll see your different stories, you'll see the formats you do it in, and so what you do is you go over to the three dots and promote and advertise. You can get to it from both your ebook and your print book versions, so just click that one right there, and as you can see, it takes you to this thing, promote your book on Amazon, run an ad campaign. There's this thing here which I don't personally do, and I've heard bad things about it from other people that advertise, so just stick to just normal Amazon ad campaigns. So choose your marketplace. Again, I personally recommend the .com store, which is for the US. If you want to get fancy, you can do the UK, but I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you live in the UK. To start out, and even if you're just starting out, I still would recommend the US store just because there are so many more people on Amazon on the US store. Basically what you're going for with advertising is to get your book in front of as many people as possible. Of course, you don't want to just throw it at anyone. You want to get it specified to just the right people, but for now we're just going to go for the biggest store to get the most eyes. So create an ad campaign. Again, this will just navigate you straight on over to the advertising.amazon.com. It's just a fancy way to get over to it. So as you can see here, there are sponsored products, sponsored brands, and lock screen ads. So I've done a lot of trainings. I bought several books. So the trainings I've done have been with Self-Publishing School and also with, I can't remember. I think it's Ads for Authors, something like that. It's with Brian Cohen. He's the guy that I keep on recommending you guys for the 5-day challenge. Next 5-day challenge is coming up in October. I'm recording this in September, so that's why I'm saying that. When that comes around, I highly recommend doing that. But anywho, back to lock screen ads. Some people have a lot of luck with it. Other people have no luck with it. Personally, I don't do them. I've tried them a couple times. Just avoid them. Sponsored brands, that's something that some people have a lot of luck with. Some people absolutely fail at, so avoid that one. Sponsored products, that's the tried and true method that so many people use, and that's almost exclusively what I use. So just going to hit continue. And as you can see, it says new campaign. I can exit out of it, and then you make your campaign name. I personally recommend making your own campaign names. Don't just use what they throw up. So what I like to do personally right now, I've changed how I do it several times over, but what I'm doing right now is just month, day, and then year. So for today, it's 09/27/2021. And then I put in the title of the book that I'm doing. So that's God Story. And then I like to write a little bit about what this particular ad is. So for this particular ad, I'm going to do, if I can spell, auto ad. And you'll see why I'm doing that later. So I'm going to do auto ad. I'm going to say 1. Now, portfolio, that's something you can do to like organize your stuff. As you can see, I have several different things. Something bad about portfolios is, as far as I know, you can't delete them just yet. So don't make too many portfolios like I did. That's something I regret, but such is life. So I do have a portfolio set up for my God Story thing. Something nice about that is you can set budgets for individual portfolios. So if you put like 50 ads into one portfolio, you can set the entire ad spend for the day to $5 if you want to do that. It's something that's really nice. A lot of people don't use don't use portfolios with their ads. Some people do. Doesn't really matter. Next up, you can do your daily budget. The Brian Cohen guy that I mentioned earlier, he recommends doing $5. I just do 9 sometimes 8. Basically, I just pull a number out of nowhere. Doesn't really matter because odds are with what I'm going to be advising, you won't be spending it all. Again, that's just the odds. You could end up spending that much, but if you do your ads right, that actually could be a good thing because that's going to mean that you get a whole lot more people going to your books, which is the best thing you want because more people going to your book means more books getting sold. More books being sold means you're first off paying for your ads. You're second off paying off yourself so you can like continue writing. And third off, I mean, you put in all this time. I mean, the workman is worthy of his hire. The Bible says so. So, I mean, you put in the time, you're worthy of getting paid, you know? So, anywho's, that's that. That's my little spiel. So, targeting. This is something that's really important. Manual targeting is something that I personally do almost exclusively, but I do the occasional automatic targeting, and this is why this one is auto ad for auto advertisement. This is really cool because Amazon, they grab all the information that you put into your book when you were making your book. So that would be your categories, some stuff from your title, all that sort of jazz. They take stuff from that, and then they automatically have their like robots go through that, and they're like, all right, and here's a keyword here and here and here and here, and they grab all those different keywords, and then they advertise to those particular things off of what you already put in. So if you just made a new book and if you haven't made ads, honestly, automatic targeting could be a really good choice for you to do. So that's something I really like. But here's something that's really important. So campaign bidding strategy. Amazon recently changed a thing where it automatically selects up and down. And that means that they can raise your bid up to 100%. And what does that mean? That means that if you say you want to pay 10 cents for someone to click on your ad, Amazon could end up charging you 20 cents. You can do fixed bid, which means if you bid 10 cents, you will pay 10 cents. But my particular favorite is dynamic bids down only. So that means you can pay 10 cents, 8 cents, 9 cents, 1 cent, all over the board, but just below what you said you wanted to pay. And I know this all sounds scary because it is your own money and you are dealing with that, but trust me, guys, I've been doing this for, let's see, here's my other screen. So I have been doing this since 2019, and I've spent a total of $216. I know that sounds like a whole lot over all that time, but it's gotten me quite a few sales. The current sales figure here is not actually accurate. So Amazon has this thing where their sale tracking is not quite the best. The Brian Cohen guy, personally, I think he has the best way of saying how it really goes on how they're just wonky on saying how that works. But his entire thing is basically along the lines of, listen, guys, Amazon, they only track so many things, and they're not always the best at tracking these things. Something along those lines. I honestly can't remember exactly how he says it, but obviously he says it better than me. There we go. There's my screen back. And again, that's just how I've been doing it. As you can see, around this point, I started really getting into ads. So you saw my traffic double from the month before, and from there it stayed pretty high. As you can see here, I've had over 5 million impressions. I need to stop clicking stuff. I'm messing stuff up. And that's a whole lot of people seeing my book for the very first time. That's a whole lot of people getting exposed to my book. And I personally attribute my $216 of sales to a whole lot more than that. I haven't really run the numbers on it to really narrow it down, but I'd say it's gotten me at least $400 in sales. And again, that was off of $200 basically. So I've basically made $1 for every 50 cents I put in, which is pretty dandy. All right, back to creating the ad. So dynamic bids down only is what you'll be selecting. Then you go down to ad format. I recommend the custom text ad. I'll explain that in a smidge. So select your books. Don't know why that's selected. So you can, if you have a lot of books, like I have a lot of books now, you can type in your ASIN or your book title. So for me, I'm just going to type in God, hit the search thing. I only have 2 books with God in it. That's the paperback and Kindle version of the book. So something interesting that's totally a random trivia. If you do custom text ad, you can only do 1 book for it. If you do a standard ad, you can advertise like all of your books, but not write text. But when you do custom text, you have to write your text for just that 1 book. And that 1 book can work for both the Kindle and hardcover and paperback versions. So for me, I only have the Kindle and paperback, so that's that. So anywho's, automatic targeting is the next thing. This will be different if you choose manual targeting, but you could set default bid. I personally recommend doing like 10 cents or 8 cents. I'm going to do 8 cents for this one. The Brian Goen guy that I mentioned earlier, he recommends doing 30 cents or 35 cents, which for me is like, oh wow, that's really high. And I've done it, and you do get a whole lot of impressions. I've gotten quite a few sales, but for me, my profitability at the moment is actually at the 8 cent place. And I get a lot of sales for my books at 4 cents, believe it or not. So that's a whole lot less than 35 cents. So I'm honestly really happy because I'm getting by with a whole lot less spend on my side. So that's just my default bid. Essentially, that's essentially that's all you have to do for that if you don't want to write text. The negative targeting doesn't really matter. Just avoid that for now. But anywho's, back to the custom text that you will be writing. So the custom text is basically whatever you want it to be. Now, I know that sounds a little nice, but you can't actually do it exactly whatever you want to be. Amazon has quite a few rules, I believe. It doesn't say there. They do have a thing, though, where it will show you exactly what they want you to have. They have a lot of rules, but basically just don't be spammy. Don't be too elusive. Don't make it sound too scary. I mean, you can make it sound sort of scary if you're writing fiction, but if you're writing nonfiction stuff, don't make it sound depressing. Basically, you want to have it be sort of PC-ish, and also don't have it end with an ellipses. For some reason, Amazon doesn't like that. If they don't like it, don't worry. They're not going to ban you. They're not going to do anything like that. They're going to just send you an email after a while and be like, hey, there was an issue with your ad. We didn't accept it. And what you can do is just recreate that ad doing the exact same thing that you did and then just change the custom text. Or you can have no custom text. So for me, I'm going to just write my custom text right now. So I'm going to write, do you feel like God put a story in you? Join me on this 21-day journey to explore that call. So that's what I'm going to do for this nonfiction title. If you're writing fiction, you can write something along the lines of, Jimmy always knew that he was different. Little did he know that difference was because he was half dragon or half unicorn. I don't know. You could say whatever you want, for something like that, something that will get intrigue with your readers, your ideal readers particularly. So for me, I write science fiction because that's something I'm interested in. I also am interested in Christian nonfiction, so that's one of the reasons why I wrote this. Plus, I just wanted to help you guys out with this awesome Bible study sort of thing. But what you want to do is basically just write your book to be interesting to who you think it'd be interesting to. So for me, if I write science fiction, I'm going to read a lot of science fiction, so I'll know basically what's sort of in the mind of science fiction readers. So I'll be able to write my custom text to be something that's interesting to them. Or in this book's case, it's Bible study stuff, and it's something that's sort of a little more on the charismatic side of things, if you will, because you know that God's talking to you enough that you know that he gave you a story, so there's that. And I'm trying to appeal to that sort of reader. So I'm like, do you feel like God put a story into you? That's something that's going to call someone out who feels like God put a story in them, and then I had that with an immediate call to action after that. Join me on a 21-day journey to explore that call. And that's basically what that entire book's about. And I know that sounds like a sales pitch, but that's what the advertising dashboard is your own little sales pitch. So you can have, I'm just going to check something really quick. So you can have 150 characters. That includes spaces and punctuation. Honestly, I like to keep it down to 1 or 2 sentences. I believe I read one book and it said that you can do like up to 3 sentences for a sales pitch, but honestly, try to keep it short and try to keep your sentences short. For sales, it's like totally its own thing. There's a book, if you guys would like to read up on more sales pitch sort of stuff. There's this book by a man named Ray Edwards called How to Write Copy That Sells. And copy is what you write. It's the text you write to try to sell stuff. They call it copy. So that's one book I would personally recommend if you wanted to learn more about creating custom text stuff to be really fancy. But honestly, just your average person is probably going to be able to write something that's pretty good. And if you guys have written a book, which you've probably done by this point, then odds are that you're going to be able to write pretty good copy on your own. So that's that for this tutorial. Let's just do something I strongly recommend is, before I sign off, is check everything before you hit submit. Because sometimes you will make a mistake. You might accidentally say that you want to put in a bid for 8 cents, but for some reason Amazon messes up and thinks it's $8 for a bid. You don't want that. So just be sure to go over everything. So check your campaign name, check your automatic targeting or manual targeting, depending on what you choose, portfolio, end dates. Oh, I forgot to mention that. I like to do no end date. The Brian Cohen guy says try to have it be a month out. I haven't found a difference, but he says he has. He's doing it for a business, telling you how to make ads. So I don't know. You can choose what you want from there, but sorry. Back to this. Campaign bidding strategy. Again, down only is what I recommend. That's what a lot of people recommend because it's nice to know what you're going to pay or less. Ad format. Again, you just want to check this, check that. Default bid. This is the important part, in my opinion. It's one of the more important parts. So the suggested bid, I'll go over that in another video. This doesn't really matter. Neither does this. As you can see, it's optional. Down the road, you can deal with it if you get really fancy, but doesn't matter too much. And then go over your custom text, read over it, try to read over it slowly to make sure there's no typos. If there are typos, Amazon could deny it, but looks like everything's good on my end. So I'm going to hit launch campaign. It's going to load. It's usually pretty quick. And as you can see, moderation can take up to 72 hours. That's what it says here. I find that it doesn't normally take me that long. Generally, I can have an ad up within like 4 hours. But again, it can take up to 72. But long story short, that's how you do that. And this, congratulations, if you followed me along with this little video, you actually have your first ad up and ready. So that's it for today. So right on, and God bless everyone.